Hello, today we're going to look at section 1.4, percent of change in solving absolute value equations. So we're going to quickly refresh our memory on how to find a percent given a fraction. The first thing that you need to do is divide the numerator by the denominator. The second thing that you need to do after you do that division is move the decimal point, 2 places to the right. Okay. So let's go ahead and just look at an example. If you receive 21 out of 24 on your last quiz, what percent of questions did you answer correctly? If you go ahead and type 21 over 24 in on your calculator, what you will get is that it is 0.875. Here it is as a decimal. In order to put it into a percent, you move the decimal places 2 to the right. So really what you got was an 87.5%. Okay. Now we're going to look at how to find a percent given a decimal. Okay. So the first thing you need to do is, once again, just undo what we just did. Move the decimal places. We need to do what we just did because we're given a decimal. Move it 2 places to the right, which is also the same as just multiplying it by 100 to change to a percent. So same thing when you move it 2 places to the right, same as multiplying it by 100. Okay. Once again, let's look at an example. It says express 0.0235 as a percent. Once again, take it, move it 2 places to the right. So this is really 2.35%. Now, we're going to look at how to use proportions when we are looking at percent problems. Key words that we have is and of. Is means the part. Okay. Of means the whole number, or another word we could use is total. Okay. So is the part, of is the whole. And so when we set up proportions, we have the part over the whole is equal to the percent out of 100. Okay. So let's go ahead and look at this. What percent is 45 of 78? So if I use my proportion, I can set it up. It says is 45, so 45 over 78 equal to, well, now we're trying to figure out what percent. So I'm going to use x for the percent out of 100. Then what you would need to do, cross multiply and divide. So when we cross multiply, we're going to get 78x equals, well, 45 times 100 is 4,500. And then we would go ahead and divide by 78. So what we get is x is equal to 57.962. And this, since we looked at this is a percentage, this is our percent. And I'm fine with if you just leave those rounded to one decimal. So it'd be 57.7%. Okay. Now let's look at the next one. It says what percent of 45 is 115? Notice this one tried to trick you a little bit. Here is my of, or my whole, is my part. So this one is really 115 over 45 is equal to x out of 100. So just think to yourself really quickly, should my x be more than 100% or less than 100%? Hopefully you're seeing that it will be more. If you go ahead and calculate this one, I'm not going to do the cross multiplying, but you can do it. 45 times x equals 115 times 100, and then divide by 45. You should get that your percent is 255.6%. I would now like you to pause the video and go ahead and do this example. All right, now we're going to look at percent increase or decrease. So in order to find the percent change, we look at the difference in the amount over the original. Okay, so let's look at an example. The number of students at Franklin High School increased from 840 to 910 over a 5-year period. What was the percent increase? So we have to figure out the difference in the two amounts. So to figure out the difference, it's 910 minus 840 over my original amount. So what was the starting value? Well, it increased, and so we started at 840. So we're going to divide by 840. Now I have 910 minus 840, which gives me 70 over 840. And using our calculator, if we go ahead, we will see that that's 0.083 repeating. This is as a decimal. We want to know the percent. So once again, I move my decimal place 2 to the right. So it would be 8.3 repeating percent. Okay. So it increased by 8.3%. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next example. A TV was originally for $400, but is now $345. What is the percent decrease in the TV? So once again, we still need to find the difference. So we take the biggest minus the smallest, so 400 minus 345, all over the original. Well, what was the original value? In this case, it was 400. So 400 minus 345 gives us 55 over 400. And if you go ahead and divide that out, you get 0.1375. And so this is a decimal, moving it 2 to the right, 13.75%. So this one, the price decreased by 13.75%. Now, time to do some shopping, okay? What they want us to do is find the total price of each item. They give us the original, the discount, and the tax. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is we need to go ahead and figure out the discount. Okay, what would I be paying after they take the discount, and then we need to add on the tax? Well, one way to think about this is to figure out, well, the discount is 20%, so what percent am I really paying? Well, I am really paying 80% of the original. Okay, so let's go ahead and set up to figure out, well, what would that be? 80% I can write as 80 over 100. Okay, and we want to know what that would be, so x out of the original 14. Okay, if I go ahead and cross multiply after the discount, it's going to be $11.20. Now what I need to do is I need to figure out when I add on the tax. Well, adding on the tax is 6%. So what I would do was take my $11.20 and I'm going to multiply it by, well, I'm for sure going to pay the $11.20. So it's 1 point, then to add on 6%. Well, 6% as a decimal is 0.06. Okay, so 1 because I'm paying the whole amount plus the 0.06 for the tax. So I take $11.20 times 1.06, and when I do that, what I get is $11.87. So that is what I will be paying when I leave the store. Okay, I would like you to pause the video and do B on your own. Now that we got done looking at percents, we're going to go ahead and look at absolute values. So, absolute value, the absolute value of a number is the distance from 0 on the number line. Okay, one thing you need to think about is distance is always positive. So once you calculate an absolute value, it will always be positive. You can't go in a negative distance. If you drive from here to the store, it's going to be, let's say, 1.5 miles. When you go from the store back home, you don't go a negative 1.5, you still go 1.5 miles. So absolute value is a distance. So let's just go ahead and look at this quickly. So the absolute value of x represents the absolute value of a number x. So example, the absolute value of 7 is 7, and the absolute value of -7 is 7, since it is always positive. Okay. we have some examples here with absolute value bars. So when solving expressions, the absolute value bars act as parentheses. Perform any operations inside the absolute value bars first. Okay, so following our order of operations, got to do what's on the inside. So if I look here, I have multiplying. So I have 5 times negative 3, which will give me negative 15. So I have 1.4 plus negative 15 minus 7 in the absolute value bars. Now I take negative 15 minus 7, which will give me the absolute value of negative 22. Now I calculate the absolute value of negative 22. Well, the absolute value of negative 22 is 22 because it's always positive. And then I would go ahead and I would have 1.4 plus 22. Oops, I already wrote that. 1.4 plus 22 will give me 23.4. Okay, so there is my solution. Okay, I want you to once again stop the video and do this next example on your own. Okay, that's where we're going to end the video for today. So please do the video quiz, and we will finish up the note sheet in class tomorrow. Have a good night, and I will talk to you later.